I'm gonna be packaging these up and kind of explaining this process while I talk about my business in general. So, if you don't know, my business is called Plantventions. You can find it on Etsy as Plantventions LLC. And I'm just going to be talking about, why I started it there and, how it's going for me personally. So, I started it about 2 months ago. Well, at least I opened 2 months ago on Etsy. So, it hasn't been too long. As far as my sales data goes, currently I have had 22 total orders, and on my actual Etsy homepage, I have sold, I think, 34 sales. Because if you don't know, the way that Etsy works is sales and orders are different. So orders is, every time an individual person buys something, and sales are, how many things total you've sold. So, for example, if someone orders 2 plants, that would count as 1 order but 2 sales. So your sales number will most of the time be higher than your order number unless you only sell individual listings, which most of the time people sell, at least sometimes sell multiple quantities. So I decided to start my business on Etsy, mainly due to the fact that, I hadn't had it for too long. It's kind of, an idea that I haven't, really done much with in terms of social media and stuff. Because originally I wanted to use Shopify, but I realized that I don't have a super big social media following. So having my own website would be more difficult because Etsy does bring organic traffic. Even though a lot of people say it doesn't, in my experience, it does if you have good keywords and stuff. Because I've made more money from Etsy, or more sales from Etsy organic traffic than Etsy ads. I've actually turned my Etsy ads off, which if you guys want me to make a video on that, I can. But I just decided to sell on Etsy because it would be an easy thing to start at my business, to see if I really like it. And if I do, which I do, I can transition to a bigger platform like Shopify or my own website, once I get a better following. I was worried that I'd open a store on a platform with my own website, have no following, get 0 sales for a very long time, then get discouraged. And also, I personally feel it's a good idea to have Etsy and another website. I have my own website and I have an Etsy page. I feel like that's a good way to do that. So I sell mainly small succulents, like the ones you're packaging here. You can see that they're pretty small. Starting out, I did not have that much money. So what I did was I went to the dollar store, which I actually have a video up on my channel about that. But I went to the dollar store to get a bunch of supplies for this. So basically what I did was I went to the dollar store. I got some condiment containers. I used a drill to drill a hole in the bottom. Those were, I think it's a pack of 12 or something, or a pack of 10 for $1.25. Dollar Tree, by the way. So, yeah, I did that. And then I also got the tissue paper from the dollar store. So this tissue paper is just the regular white tissue paper. It comes in a pack of 20, and I have been using this ever since I started my business, and I still have over half the pack left. This has lasted me an incredibly long time, and that was only $1.25 as well. So I also purchased that, and then I'm trying to remember what else I got. It's all in the video. I also got some clear cups for string of rubies and stuff, some bigger plants, because these containers are quite small. So I wanted to get bigger containers for bigger plants, because that just makes more sense, so I can have more variety in stuff, that I can sell. So I got tape from the dollar store as well. This is just regular masking tape, and I use it to cover my plants. As you can see, I do the soil. I always ship my plants dry. That's a very important tip, specifically for succulents though. It's because if you don't know, succulents are very similar to cacti in terms of the fact that they can, do really well in drought conditions. But for succulents, they much rather be dry than wet. So I don't like shipping them wet, because if they're wet, then, they'll be all taped down and the water will have nowhere to escape. And I don't want someone getting, a succulent that's rotting because it was wet when I shipped it. So I ship all my plants, incredibly dry. That's just the way that I do it and the way that it's been working for me. So that's an important step. Also, I find marketing to be pretty important. As I said, I have turned off ads, but I do find like social media marketing and stuff to be pretty important. I do have an Instagram and stuff like that. I don't really post on them, like Instagram and TikTok and stuff. I'm just trying my best to grow out this YouTube channel, gain a following and try to help some people out. Because I feel like that's, important. I like, giving back to the community in terms of knowledge, because I spend so much time doing research on stuff. I want people to be able to find resources to learn things. So, that's so far some of the things I got. I also have these thank you stickers. You can find them on Amazon. They're pretty holographic. These aren't necessary. I just like to include them on the packages. And I mainly just include them due to the fact that I already had them. So, yeah, that's some pretty general things like packaging knowledge and where I source stuff. As far as other costs, at least from where I am, if you're gonna sell on Etsy, you have to have, you have to have like a one-time fee. So when you make an Etsy store, I think this is just a fight against AI bots and stuff like that, but when you make an Etsy store, you have to pay a one-time fee. So for me, that was $19. I'm not sure if it's going up or down or what, but when I did it, it was $19. That's just the standard price at the time. So right now, I'm just writing the name of the succulent on this piece of paper. So donkey tail succulent. And I'm gonna write the size. So the sizing I use is pretty made up. If you want more information on how I, do my listings and stuff, you can, do a pretty deep dive on my Etsy, I guess. I don't have too many listings up right now, as I have more plants I need to list. I'm just waiting on getting some more soil. Oh, soil is also pretty important. Okay, so for my soil, I use when I was first starting out, and pretty much now, because I'm pretty much still starting out, I use the Miracle-Gro potting soil, succulent potting soil. It's found in Walmart. I mainly use that one because it's easy to find. It's quick, easy. It's pretty much everywhere, and it's cheap. I think for an 8-quart bag, it was like $6-7, which I don't know if that's cheap, but it was cheap enough for me, especially because I use so little of it in these tiny containers. So that one bag lasted me all the plants I've sold so far, and a whole bunch of other plants I have potted up. So yeah, I got that. I just felt like that was important, because obviously you need soil. Soil is very important. Okay, so, and then for the soil, since it's not the best quality soil, I also got a bag of perlite, an 8-quart bag of perlite. It's like volcanic rock, kind of. But I mixed that half and half with the soil to make it better draining. So if you look at the soil, this is kind of separating. It tends to float a little bit. But if you look, the soil is the brown stuff and the perlite is the white stuff. So this helps increase drainage, which succulents tend to like quite a bit. Okay, so I got all my name tags on, and these are going to be taped to the plant so that people can identify what plants they are. I just used little pieces of paper to write them. And for this, you want to have pretty neat handwriting so people can read it. So if your handwriting isn't neat, I'd encourage you to get like a label maker. Or something, because it's kind of important that, people can read what you write. So yeah, I got my soil and perlite from Walmart. I'm not sure if I said that already. I don't have scissors. Let's see. Using scissors for cutting tape is pretty important. Okay, so I got those things from Walmart. The total for a bag of perlite and a bag of soil was like $14, I think, like $7 a bag, plus tax, or after tax, I don't really know. But it wasn't too bad. I'm not sure if that's expensive or not. If you know whether that's expensive or not, let me know in the comments. I'd be delighted to hear, what you think, if you're a bit more experienced in this field. Because I will say, I am someone that's been selling plants, and I am also someone that tends to know quite a few things about plants, at least more than the average person. As you know, I think it's pretty obvious, but one of the main reasons I started this business is because I really like plants. I just like the way that they work. I actually, when I started this business, I did not know much about succulents. I just did succulents because they're easy. And it's important for me because, they're easy to take care of. But it's also important for buyers because if there's a plant that's easy to take care of, people are less likely to be unhappy with them. And the biggest thing is I ship my plants. So they're less likely to arrive, dead. Because dead on arrival orders are never fun. I just realized I haven't been paying too much attention. I put the wrong name on this one. So this is pretty obvious, business owners make mistakes. Because, I'm still a person, so I make mistakes. I'm just glad I noticed it fast enough to take it off. Pretty sure some people that were watching this were like, why did you do that? I was just so focused on what I was saying that I wasn't focused on what I was doing. Okay. This is not a donkey tail succulent. This is the small fluke, but we got it figured out. So yeah, this is what it looks like. My packaging, kind of like the way it looks, depends on the paper I'm using. As if you look at my videos, the paper will change quite often. Okay, now we're doing the column jade. Okay, so trying to think of more costs associated with the business. What happened to my tape? Oh, here it is. Trying to think of more costs associated with this business. No, there's Etsy. Okay, there's Etsy ads, which Etsy ads are kind of confusing. Because it charges you like cost per click. But in the whole time of running my business, I ran ads for about a month. And I spent $40 on ads and made like $10 from them. So I would not go with ads if I was you. You can, it just wasn't something that ended up working for me. But who knows, it could work for you. I have no idea. So if you want to, experiment with that and try it out, I'd urge you to, maybe you like it. It's mainly because my product prices, or like my plants, since they're so small, the value isn't super high, which means that the room for profit is a lot smaller. So, Etsy ads do help make sales. But by the time you make a sale, I already spent more money on ads than I got from the sale, so it just isn't worth it. And I turned off my Etsy ads yesterday, and I woke up today to 2 sales, so I feel like that's kind of, a good thing. But, if you like Etsy ads, you like Etsy ads. I just don't think that they're the best for people with lower priced items. So, but yeah, my Etsy ads tend to spend about $4 a day, but I only got like 3 sales total from them. So I wouldn't really say that they're worth it, at least not for me. But that's just, personal experience. So yeah, if you want to try them out, you can try them out. That's great. So let's think about some more costs. So another cost, that would be like an upfront cost, but just costs in general, are buying the plants themselves, which I'm kind of surprised it took me this long to get here. But sorry. So what I did was, for purchasing my plants, I actually do it off of Mercari, which sounds kind of weird, but it's mainly because of the messaging system. You can also do on eBay. But basically what I do is I go into messages and I find someone that sells plants, and I just ask them, hey, can I buy 400 cuttings? And, every once in a while you get a yes. It's incredibly expensive, though. Well, not incredibly. For 400 cuttings, my price was around $240 after tax, which I don't think it's that bad. I don't really know. If you don't know, which I'm not sure if I've shown in this video, but I have all my cuttings here. I haven't listed any of them yet, but I have, cuttings everywhere. And I also have some leaves that I'm propagating. I sell these. But I have quite a few cuttings. So the last time I bought cuttings, I bought 400 of them for $200. And I just bought them from a seller on Mercari. So that's kind of the way that I do it. So you can negotiate prices and stuff, because most people do not have listings for that amount of plants just actively up. So you kind of have to ask for custom ones. But that's just what I do. And the more you buy, the cheaper they'll be. Like, obviously, if you get one cutting, it'll be like $3 per cutting. But I got them, for a price of around 75 cents per cutting, depending on the math. And how many cuttings actually make it, because you will know, well, I'm not sure if you do know, but not every cutting will survive. Most of them will, in my experience, but they won't all make it. Okay, so the next part of my packaging process is taking these cups. These ones don't have holes. And I'm putting them on top of the plant and using them as kind of like a protective barrier to protect the foliage. So I don't do this on all my plants. I pretty much just do it on all the ones where it fits. So if it doesn't fit, I don't do it, but if it does fit, I do. That's kind of just my rule of thumb. If I can add the extra protection, I do. And if I can't, then I just take extra reinforcements in other ways, like packing peanuts and stuff. See, that's another thing. Packing peanuts, you don't have to buy them. When I use them, I just use them from, online orders when they include packing peanuts sometimes. Or you can also use things like pillow stuffing. A lot of people that sell plants use pillow stuffing, especially people that sell tropical plants like philodendrons and Hoyas and monsteras and stuff, which is actually what I was originally going to sell. But I figured specializing in succulents would be a lot easier, especially upon starting. So I, just package them this way and use packaging as far as packing peanuts from old packages. So this is the finished packaging. You can see that the soil is protected from the leaves. It has a name on it, and the foliage is protected from the outside by this container. So it's not like super enforced, but it's enforced enough to where it's way less likely for this foliage to get crushed, which gives it a pretty good, secure packaging. So that's how I package my plants. Okay, so yeah, buying cuttings is pretty straightforward. If you guys need any help with, learning how to ask for them, you can ask me. There's also probably websites where you can buy wholesale cuttings, which, might be easier if you don't want to go around asking people to sell you cuttings. Or if you're someone that already has a lot of plants, you can literally just, search up a YouTube tutorial if you need, and take your own cuttings and root them yourself. Because that is pretty good. When as far as rooting methods go, I make propagation trays, as I've showed you, but I root my plants in perlite most of the time. I didn't really do it this time that much because I ran out of perlite, but my favorite substrate as far as the ones I've used so far are sand and perlite. Sand might actually be my favorite, I'm not really sure, but the one I don't like is soil. I do not like soil propagation, or like soil, like rooting and stuff. I do not like rooting plants of soil. It's like the worst one to use. It just doesn't work very well in my experience. I guess because it doesn't hold the water that well, and it's just, I don't know, just doesn't work too well. But yeah, I use perlite, and a lot of people that use propagation, like pot boxes, they just put, like lids. They use like totes with lids, but those are good for tropical plants, but I would not do that for succulents because, once again, succulents like moisture, but they don't like to be moist, I guess. Like, so it's good to keep them well watered, water every once in a while, but you don't want them to be wet. So you don't want them to be wet all the time. You want them to be dry more often than wet. So yeah, if you do want to have your own website though, I would recommend Shopify as just the most, popular one, really. But Shopify can get kind of expensive. Shopify is $40 a month unless you do the mobile, like not mobile, but like the $5 plan. But that one's really, it lacks a lot of customization. So yeah, and as far as other costs go, I will say that Etsy does have listing fees, and Etsy takes around like 10% of your sales, like 10 to 15. I'm not really sure the exact percentage, but a lot of people say that it takes a lot, maybe more than, because it takes like a bunch of different fees, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I will say every single time you make a listing, it'll cost 20 cents, and every single time you sell something, it takes 20 cents out of that for a listing fee, which I don't really understand that, but that's what it does. And yeah, Etsy payments are kind of confusing. If you guys want me to make a video on Etsy payments, then let me know. And if I missed anything, or if you have any questions about costs or anything like that, let me know. I will be telling you that, or making a video on that if you're interested. So the last thing before we go is I want to show you guys what boxes I use. So you can find them on Amazon. Search up this brand, Geyer, I think that's how you say it. I don't know, however you say it. They're these 4x4 inch boxes. You can get them. I get them in white. They come in a 30 pack. It's like $15 for a 30 pack, but it's cheaper if you get more. And you fold down the flaps, like you would a normal box. Tape them down, and these do extraordinary if you're shipping, whoops. These do really well if you're shipping, small plants, like the ones that I have displayed here. So yeah, if you're gonna ship plants like I do, I would recommend getting these boxes, as they do really well. And then, as far as shipping goes, once again, make sure that you have a scale. Scales can be pretty cheap. They range from most of the time you can find one for about $15 or so. You can also find them on Amazon. This is the scale that I use. Don't really know the brand or anything. But really any scale will work, but you need a shipping scale to create your shipping labels. So if you want me to make a video specifically on shipping, instead of, packing orders or packing plants for shipping, if you want me to make a video on shipping itself, then I will happily do that for you guys. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this topic, and I hope you have learned a bit more about cost of starting a succulent plant business on Etsy, if you have any, questions about that. So yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and thank you for watching. Bye.